open Tuesdays to Thursdays. You're definitely going to get that. If you want to be in the WWE, we now have the knowledge of, for the most part, of what to look for, what to do, and what to train for. So if you ever want to be a wrestler, you want to be in the WWE, come down to the Warriors of Wrestling training school.
Yep, absolutely. And speaking of Warriors of Wrestling, they had a match a card that night called New Beginnings. It was the first show of the year. It saw Warriors of Wrestling's No Limits champion Joey Ace defeat Michael Massacre. Really good match, and I think my opinion, I've said this on the show before, that Michael Massacre is unfortunately a very underrated talent at the indie level. He is very good.
Yeah, Michael Massacre is a guy that he kind of came into the fold kind of randomly, and he's been able to successfully assimilate himself into the Warriors Wrestling locker room. Mm-hmm. But obviously, he's got this whole thing with Steven, which I'm sure we'll get to later on.
Warriors of Wrestling Tag Team title match saw the champions EYFBO take on Style and Fitness and the Rican Hate Club. And it was Style and Fitness winning via countout, as both EYFBO and the Rican Hate Club were counted out. So, obviously, the titles do not change hands, but it gave us a chance to see this new team, Style and Fitness, and they worked very, very well together.
It's Style and Finesse.
Style and Finesse. Well, we're going to have to talk to Mr. Joey B for spelling it wrong.
It's an easy mistake. But, okay, so, for a little background, EYFBO and Style Finesse have had they've started this feud throughout the New York independent scene outside of Warriors. It's trickled into Jersey. It's gone all over the place, and it's been a hot feud. However, the Rican Hate Club, we're live for the tag title shots, so we kind of turned that into triple threat there. But as you saw the finish there, Rican Hate Club and EYFBO got counted out.
Yeah.
Style Finesse never lost. They won the match, so they're still in line for tag title shots. So definitely be on the lookout for that in these upcoming months. Because whether it's the Rican Hate Club against EYFBO, whether it's EYFBO against Style Finesse, you're going to expect a great match. And I'm just going to go off the cuff and say that EYFBO is probably one of the best tag teams I've been able to see grow and develop on the independent scene, and there's just no other. That's just a fact. There's no other tag team I think that can hold the candle to them right now.
I agree with that. If I had to do a top five, they definitely would be in my top five tag teams in the independent circuit. Next match saw a very quick match. It was B.A. Kid and Benjamin Quinn. They defeated Arian Stride and the Latin Lover Chachi, and a very quick match.
Yeah, well, they got obviously I wasn't there in Chachi's corner this time around, and I don't know. I guess his head wasn't in the game for this one. He got caught up, and what you saw is what you saw. And that might have been it for Stride and Chachi, but that remains to be seen.
Well, we'll have to reach out to Chachi, a former guest on the show, and see what the future holds for the Latin Lover. Another match saw you, Jay George, getting in the ring, teaming up with Neftali Rodriguez, and you guys defeated Fala and Chris Payne in an interesting turn of events when Fala's partner, who came down to the ring with them, Harley, clocked him on the outside, costing them the match.
First of all, I want to apologize to the gentleman, whoever had the odds on favorite for Fala and Chris Payne to win, because I'm sure they lost a lot of money that night. Because I don't think anybody was expecting us to go over those two guys. And rightfully so, me and Nefertari, two managers, starting to make that transition more to the ring style. And Fala, I've always said Fala is probably the best performers out in Warriors Wrestling. Me being in there with him was very special, but it was business as usual. And hey, whatever happened with Harley, taking out his former tag team partner, that's between them. All I know is that the history books go down with me and Epitaph getting the victory over those two guys. Huge upset, perhaps, but don't be discouraged to see more things like that in the future.
Yeah, a win's a win. I mean, goes into the record books as a victory. Just Chris Payne kind of stuck in the middle of that whole debacle, but we'll see what the future holds for Fala and Harley. And you got to go to your boy Neftali Rodriguez, and you got to get him some better wrestling gear. I mean, seriously.
What'd you think about I was trying something new out last night. What'd you think of my new gear?
Well, as long as he's not wearing striped shirts anymore, we're good. But no, your gear, you looked like a wrestler. He looked like a guy wearing a hefty bag for shorts.
Yeah, I gotta talk to him about that.
A guy that can't be confused with anybody else, Abdul Nasir, one of the nastiest guys in the business. He went on to defeat former WWE superstar Eugene, but of course not without controversy, as he threw a bag of powder or salt, some sort of white substance, in the eyes of Eugene, causing him to hit the deck. He got the pin, and like we said before, a win's a win, but not without controversy, as Nasir defeated Eugene.
And obviously there's a bigger story there beyond Eugene. Eugene, a former WWE superstar. There's a guy who's been in there with, let's name them all. Triple H, Kurt Angle. He's done, he did the stuff with Hulk Hogan, William Regal. So, great victory for Abdul. A win is a win, as you said. But I'm more interested in what was going on in the outside, obviously. Napatali was back out there, which I didn't know about, him being my tag team partner at the time. I didn't know what was his deal there. But yes, I had Darius Carter, so there's something going on there, and with these guys, and perhaps you might see something to come March 7th, I believe.
Well, you mentioned Darius Carter, but he was defeated via disqualification by Logan Black during that card. So maybe we'll see a little bit of more Darius Carter, and we'll definitely see more of Logan Black. He's a very impressive young man with a very impressive haircut.
Yeah, those guys. Listen, I've driven up and down the roads with both of these men, and especially Darius Carter. And one thing Darius Carter's big on, if you ever ask him, hey, what's your wrestling style? What do you do? He tells you very simple. He does a European style, close quarters, snug. So if you're in the ring with him, expect to be woken up with a couple of strikes from wrestling's richest prize, Darius Carter.
But he did have a little surprise waiting for him again. As Bonesaw Jesse Brooks stormed to the ring, and Darius ran for the hills.
Yeah, they had. I think this goes back to Flame Solution 7. They had a little thing. I think Bonesaw eliminated him, or it might have been the other way around. I don't know what's going on between these two, but it will be coming to a head, of course, depending on what kind of condition Bonesaw Brooks is going to be after the match against Casey Carlisle. But that'll be March 7th. I think they're in line for a match against each other.
There you go. In a match which was ridiculous, a squash match would be an understatement, but Preacher John Cannon defeated Airy the Greek. Look, you don't even have anything to say about that one.
I was at a loss for words.
Poor Airy.
I mean, look, this kid, he comes to the school, tries to do his thing, but Cannon has been on. If you've been following Cannon for the past, I'd say, couple of years, you would see that he tried the whole thing of Order of Chaos, and then as it's kind of been dissipating throughout the couple of months, but he's got his eyes on the prize in a very similar fashion to the way that Darius Carter and Abdul have. So I don't know, something might be going on there. Obviously, of course, Dan and Scotty are still following behind him, but what about Big TJ Marconi coming out there with a little bit of a swagger to his step?
Yeah.
He's TJ McConaughey's he's a guy who's a rare breed here in the independent scene because he's a big guy. He's not how do I say it? I just say, look, he's larger than life. You know, a lot of these guys in independents, that's a small kid, maybe weigh 160 pounds. But TJ is he's the last of the throwback there.
Yeah,
and
that's a big
he's
boy.
A big guy bringing the group party to Staten Island. That's all I got to say about that.
In the main event, it saw Team Warriors of Wrestling Chris Steeler, Jason Karloff, and Joey B taking on Team Torment. Was it Juba or Juba? Juba. And Will Demooch Jackson. And the stipulations is if Team WOW didn't win, Joey B would have to retire from wrestling. But, needless to say, Chris Steeler, Karloff, and Joey B were victorious over Team Torment, Juba, and Demooch Jackson. And Joey B is still involved and still wrestling and is still in charge of Warriors of Wrestling. But this is not over by any means.
By a long shot. Look, as long as Team Torment still have the heavyweight title, then you know what? They still got a little bit of control in their hands. And you know, I'm glad Joey B he's still in charge because then maybe I can get my match against him. But here's the thing about Joey B. When he first did the first ever Warriors Wrestling show, that he was told he was going to run the Warriors Wrestling show and it was going to be one and done. Here we are, 80-something shows later, and we're still kicking strong. So when you throw that incentive there, that Joey B wasn't going to be able to do this anymore, well, then, you know, things get kicked into higher gear. And despite Michael Massacre getting involved there with Chris Steeler, and still with that weird obsession, they still did their thing, and Warriors came out on top. And I guess, you know, whether you like them or not, it's what's best for us and for the rest of the boys.
You know, there's one thing you got to know. You never back an Italian guy into a corner and force him to come out swinging. Doesn't matter how tall he is. Joey B is not going to let anybody intimidate them, regardless if it's the champions or otherwise. So, Team Torment, they got out of there, of course, ran out the front door, knocking over chairs and people and everything else. And, they got out of there unscathed, but push comes to shove. I think Joey B somehow, some way is going to have the last laugh, whether the belt is going to go to Karloff or Steeler or somebody else. Team Torment, I think their days are numbered. If they make it to the spring with the belts, I'd be surprised, but we'll see what happens. March 7th, of course, we'll see another chapter of this story. Jay George, I want to thank you, though, for calling in and being a part of this show today and recapping all Warriors of Wrestling and Valkyrie. And we'll definitely be in touch with you to get you on the show on your own. But until then, we'll definitely see you March 7th in Staten Island, New York for Valkyrie Wrestling and Warriors of Wrestling.
That's right, and I'll be on the road, of course. I got other dates coming up in February. Still got to get confirmation of those, but it was a pleasure. You know, I always like seeing you guys at the show, and I appreciate you guys coming out doing the thing, and, you know, getting more ears or eyes, whatever it is, on us and the product. And thank you for that. Thanks for having me, man. It was a great time.
All right, man. Take care. That was Jay George, ladies and gentlemen. He is a manager at Valkyrie Women's Professional Wrestling and a manager and wrestler at Warriors of Wrestling. Next weekend, ladies and gentlemen, this upcoming Sunday, which is Super Bowl Sunday, Real Sports Talk with Kenny Kluska will be on at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, an hour earlier, and we will follow him at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Thunder Rosa. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help control the nitwit population and have your friends spayed or neutered. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this specially scheduled program. I'd like to thank Warriors of Wrestling and Joe Bellini for their hospitality, Chris Levin of Valkyrie Women's Professional Wrestling, and all the ladies that night that were very hospitable to Damage 365. We will see you again soon. Special thanks to Eric Sims of ESS Promotions.